Hey guys, welcome to another exciting video on livestock farming. In this particular video, I'll be talking about how to breed broiler chickens. Broiler chicken seems to be the most common chicken that people often breed in Nigeria. And then a lot of people have complaints about casualties that they experience while breeding broilers. But most of the challenges or most of the mistakes happen from the early stage, from the point of hatching down to the vaccination, down to the right vitamins and minerals to give to them. But in this video I'm going to be showing you insight on how to breed your broiler chicks from a day old till the point of 2 weeks, because once broilers gets to 2 weeks they are not vulnerable to much sickness and diseases like that. But when you don't do the rightful thing from that stage of a day old till about a week or 2 weeks, then you realize that out of like 200 beds, you have lost over 50, due to poor management. All right, so first of all, when you bring in your chicks, a day old to be precise, you be sure that you have enough space for them. You be sure that you have enough heat for them. And then mind you, broilers need close to 30 degree or within 20 to 30 degrees centigrade of heat. Pardon my English if it's wrong. For them to be able to survive from a period of a day old to 2 weeks. So sometimes, especially when you are breeding them in a cold weather or in a cold season, people tend to put heat not hot enough for them to keep them warm. So doing, you would not know, especially if you're not someone that is familiar with breeding broilers, you would not know that they are not having enough heat, and then some of them would die, out of cold. Then sometimes people put heat and then make it too hot. So because they don't have something to measure the heat, so they'll put it and then it gets too hot for them. And then of course when it gets too hot for them, it still would kill them. So what you need to understand is when you see them cluster together, when you see them gathering together, trying to, cluster upon themselves, trying to get, so close to themselves, gathering in a particular spot all together like that, it means they are cold, so you apparently need to top up on the heat. So whatever source of heat you are using, you understand now that you need to, increase the heat level. But when you see them, going about their business, freely, all scattered about like that, the temperature or the weather is okay for them. So as a day old, you need to, from a day old to like a week, you need to pay close attention to them. So let me take you through the step-by-step things you need to do as soon as you bring them in. So in this particular video, if you can see, this is a 3-layer cage, and then this 3-layer cage contains 200 chickens, 200 chicks in them. So the first layer is 100 chicks, the second layer is 100 chicks, then the last one, that's the ground one, is where the heat is put. And then in this case, I used a clay pot and charcoal. So if we had them in a smaller scale, like in a smaller space, you could use a bulb, that's electric bulb, the yellow one to be precise. So that gives them heat. Or you could use a lantern, but because it's big and it's outside, so there's no electricity close to this cage. That's why we have to use a clay pot, and a charcoal. So this is what it looks like. You get a clay pot of about this size. So if your cage, if you're looking at getting 200 beds, you want to raise 200 beds, then it's advisable that you use this kind of cage for them. And then this cage would only be sizable for them with from the age of day one, from like day one till, let's say, 2 weeks. From 2 weeks the cage will not be sizable for them again, so you have to move them to a larger space. So but this cage you're seeing here is just for you to raise 200 birds from a day old to 2 weeks. So if you want to go with this pattern, of course you have to make the cage in this form. Then you get the clay pot, you get the charcoal, put the charcoal in the clay pot, put fire to it, put it at the lower floor of the cage. The heat radiates all the way from the first floor to the second floor. And then when you notice that they are all clustering together, like all coming together, it simply means, okay, the heat is not enough. So you add more charcoal and then probably intensify the fire so that the heat can go all the way up like that. And then so when you have all that sorted, you get their food. At this stage, from day one till about 2 weeks, they would eat starter. There's this feed they call starter, and then this is what it looks like. It's called starter. So this feed has so much component in it that helps them to grow faster, and bigger. Yeah. So of course, there are different feeds for different stages. And then but because we're talking about day old till about 2 weeks, we're just going to focus on this starter. So there's grower max, layer mash, and the rest of them. But you start off with this for them. Then when you get this, of course, you get a feeder, where you put the food for them. You don't have to measure it up, just put it and then come around to see. When they finish eating it, you will feel it like that. So there is actually no measurements, for the amount of food you give to them. Then after you're done, you get a drinker, or yeah, something like this. You put in water, then you put the multivitamin inside, and then there are some antibiotics. A lot of the antibiotics are actually dissolved in water. You can't put them in food. You have to dissolve them in the water. So you put the antibiotics and the multivitamin in the water for them. So now there are different antibiotics and vitamins for different stages. So, but for this particular stage of day one till about 2 weeks, you give them gomboro. This is what it looks like. Actually, I'm not allowed to mention the brand name in this video. So but this is what the picture looks like. So you have to give them something like this. Just put it in their water, and then once they finish consuming the water, any water you're giving to them in this period, you need to put the vitamins and then the antibiotics in them. So vaccination for broilers are actually after a week. So from a day old till 1 week, you don't vaccinate them. So you start vaccinating them from a week. Once they get to a week old, you vaccinate them. And then the vaccination is also through water. Yeah, you get the vaccination powder, put it in their water, and they drink also. That's for that. So when you're brooding like this, they tend to pass out feces more. They tend to mess the place more often. A lot of people use brooding paper. So, but brooding paper is quite expensive, and then you keep changing paper because you can't wash the brooding paper. So you keep taking it out and then recycle like that, putting the new one and all that. But because of cost, we don't use brooding paper here. Rather, we use this sack that you can see here, and then this sack, you take them out, like you wash them on a daily basis. Maybe after 24 hours, after 48 hours, maybe two days, maybe 3 days. But they shouldn't get this messy, because if they do, the place can get infected, and then bacteria can begin to come in, and they can start getting sick, from that point. So you have to change it, you have to wash it. So this save cost, because you just take it out, wash it, dry it, and then bring it back into the cage. And there's something about these chicks. Once you change the old sack and then bring in a clean one, you see them, you see that they are happy, because they also can sense that that sack was dirty, and then when it gets dirty, it gets damp, so it's cold. It gathers much more cold for them. So the ideal thing for you to do when you bring in your chick, the first thing is make sure that the place is conducive enough, you have enough space, you make sure that the temperature, it's you have it's not cold. It doesn't even have to be warm, it's hot, for a period of a day to like a week. You have to concentrate on the heat. Then you need to get their multivitamin and their antibiotics. This particular one that I showed you, I can't mention the names, so just go to the market and then get something like this. So you put it in their water, Then the food you're going to be giving them is starter. Don't give them any other thing apart from starter, because starter contains everything that they need, for this stage to grow. And then once you have all of that in check, then you can have a successful breeding. There will be no casualties, at least till the point of marketing, you know. But if there's an error in between any of these, you probably be expecting casualties, So that's for that. And then of course I recommend this kind of cage. So it depends on the number of birds that you want to raise. If you are raising um, maybe like below 100, then this cage might be too big for you. But if you are going to raise from like 200 and above, I recommend a cage like this, so that there's a place for you to put it for them, and then keep them warm all the time. So I'm going to be dropping the next video after a week from now, because by then you will see the difference in them. You will see the changes. They will have gone bigger, and then we're going to go into the next phase, of what to feed them and then what to do. Okay, so this video is packed with information on how to raise your chicks from a day old till about 2 weeks. So the next video I'll be dropping is going to be from 2 weeks up to about 3 months or 4 months, when they've gotten to that stage of marketing. So if you found this video helpful and informative enough, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. Click on the notification bell to get notified when a new video drops. And then you can also leave questions in the comment sections, and then I'll be there to answer your questions. I'll see you in the next video.